As promised, I have Dan Lennington from the Wisconsin Institute for Law and Liberty on. He's the director of the Equality Under the Law project at Will, and has been working with on school districts at the request of parents on these policies that undermine parental rights. We had the big Supreme Court decision that essentially said to the state of California, you're not going to be able to transition children without parental oversight. Dan, if you can walk us through the impact of this decision, does it reach all the way to Wisconsin like I think it does? And what's next?
These policies are not only in California, which was the locus of the decision last night, but they are nationwide. It's estimated that at least 12 million students live and go to school under these policies. And what they do is they tell teachers and school officials that students can change their names and pronouns at school without any parental consent or notice. District employees of schools can't notify parents without the child's consent that their child has gender dysphoria or gender identity. Parents are even locked out of legal name changes. School districts gives all sorts of resources to students, and actually they mark certain records as confidential to keep them away from parents. In Madison, Wisconsin, the first lawsuit that was ever filed against these policies that the Wisconsin Institute for Law and Liberty brought, we found out that teachers were actually actively deceiving parents in student-teacher conferences to keep away information from parents. And this decision says, in effect, this is all unconstitutional. Parents have a right to direct the upbringing of their children. Parents who have religious objections have a right to opt their kids out of these policies, and these have real-world impact. And one story that was a part of this decision last night was a family called the Poe family. It was a pseudonym used, but their daughter was experiencing gender dysphoria. They didn't know it, and the school was keeping it away from them. And the daughter committed suicide, or attempted to commit suicide, and then had to be institutionalized. And her parents had no idea that she was undergoing these medical problems at school. And the school was just going along with it, basically taking the place of the parents and making medical decisions for the child. So this has real world impact.
Yeah, and it can be deadly as well. So you've got a mentally confused kid with gender dysphoria, maybe even induced, contagion-induced gender dysphoria. And the answer from the schools is to close ranks, don't tell the parents, and just affirm. As that child gets deeper and deeper and deeper into delusion, affirm. Actively deceive the parents. When you talk about Madison actively deceiving the parents, that was the teachers or whoever meeting with parents at parent-teacher conferences, using the old names, not giving any indication there was anything wrong, saying everything was coming up roses, not cluing parents in about, the mental crisis their children were in, actively pretending that nothing was wrong with their kid.
Yeah, it's real danger. This isn't just child's play. This is real stuff going on here, and we know this is going on in Wisconsin. We've sued Madison. We filed the first lawsuit in the country against Madison. We sued Kettle Moraine School District and got the first injunction ever against the school district in 2023 for one of these policies. We've gone after Milwaukee. Milwaukee is the one that has that tells teachers to mark certain records confidential and to keep a separate file of records that you keep away from parents. Wow. These, I think there's about, by my count, I went through last night. I found about 16 or 18 of these districts around Wisconsin. I'm looking again today to find more. I think there are more of them out there. So parents should be on the lookout for any policy the school district has where parents are supposed to be basically kept out of the decision to change names and pronouns. So anything about names and pronouns, look for a section about parental communications and see what the school district does. If your district has one of these, you should demand that school board retract it immediately. Will has a model policy for school boards called the Gender Identity and Parent Notification Model Policy. It's on our website that school boards can just adopt. Every school board in the state should adopt this model policy to protect parents' rights and to protect our kids. And if they don't, if school boards persist in this, the Supreme Court last night made very clear that parents in a school district where one of these policies is in effect have legal standing to file a lawsuit against the school district for damages, which would include punitive damages and attorney's fees. So these bills could be racked up very quickly against school districts if they don't change their ways and they persist in these unconstitutional policies.
Right, uncapped punitive damages. So it's not by some 50,000 cap that districts like to hide behind. It's Eau Claire, Elkhorn, Little Chute, Madison, Menasha, Middleton, Cross Plains, Milwaukee, Racine, Amory, Shorewood, Wausau, Waunakee, Webster, West Allis, and that's just one of the short lists that you put up. You yourself, Dan, put up on X last night. So how many school districts do we have to fear have these policies but have not published these policies, have not put these policies out so that parents understand that they have no rights over their children?
Yeah, it's like, as we saw in New Richmond with the bathroom issue that's going on. Some schools and principals and guidance counselors develop their own policies that are building-specific policies, or some teachers might even have a policy that they implement, and a school board might not even know what's going on. So we're also calling on school boards today to investigate whether their teachers or their principals or their guidance counselors are doing anything to affirm gender identity without parental consent. That's just the key. Is there's no parental consent to gender identity change, and it's going on in some buildings. And so if those teachers are and the school counselors and principals are doing things and the school district doesn't even know about it, those individuals can be personally liable under federal civil rights laws. We have this thing called individual capacity claims, where if a government official like a school teacher violates your constitutional rights, you can get a damage award against them personally, and it does not go against the district. And so that should make teachers and counselors and principals take notice that if they want to play games, they're going to find out the hard way. And whether they're indemnified or insurance policies cover them, that's quite a lot. That's a big gamble to make when you're playing with kids' lives and you're facing the uncertainty of huge judgments against you. So the right thing to do is to parents have a right to direct the upbringing of their children. They have a right to opt out of religious objectionable materials. And this is crystal clear. This is not some new rule. This is just the Supreme Court made this, clarified this last night. It applies to these modern gender identity policies.
Right. Do we know in Wisconsin that these policies have resulted in secret transitions of children?
Yes. Yeah. And we brought a case about that called TF versus Kettle Moraine. It's on our website. The whole story is on there about what happened. The mom involved in that has become very public. She's now a school board member. She has told her story. A lot of times what happens, and we find, is that these kids are they're girls. Frankly, this is about girls. The girls are transitioned by the school district. And once they're removed from the school district, the girls come to their senses and realize that this whole thing was a big mistake. And then the girls themselves become advocates and for parents' rights, and tell their story about how dangerous this was for teachers to confuse them and try to put ideas into their head about their gender and their name and what clothes they should wear and the secret closets they have with the boys' clothes that they let girls wear. We know this is going on. We hear it all the time. And the real silver lining is that once we rescue these girls from these transitions, they become advocates and they advocate for their parents' rights, which is an amazing thing to do. And I think we're going to see a lot more of this in 2026. And I think you're going to hear some stories that will be very shocking to the public and that are going on right now as we speak.
So you're saying that the policies also include secret transition closets? Where you've got clothing you can change into. Mom sends you to school in girl clothes, and teacher changes you into boy clothes and starts calling you by a boy name. You go to school, you change clothes. That is the most minor part of this, Vicki. The Madison School District has a resource where they give legal advice to children on how to change their names. They help them. They literally say in their policy, you teachers might have to help these children fill out legal forms and file them to change their names.
They also connect them with doctors. They connect them with the medical establishment. The Planned Parenthood is the number one prescriber of testosterone in the country. And Planned Parenthood is injected into the school district, and these parents are completely cut out of this. And so your daughter might be on testosterone facilitated by the school district before you even know there's a problem. And somehow that is completely appropriate. And what teachers believe who are doing this, and it's counselors who are doing this, they think they're saving lives. And they don't have any resistance or any compunction about violating laws. They think, why would I worry about violating laws? I'm literally saving lives. That's the hero complex that we're seeing a lot. There's a lot of these stories we know about, we can't talk about because they're private. But there are parents out there listening right now. They know this is going on. They've heard it. It may be in their own family, and that these teachers have a hero complex. They think they're saving lives, and so they're willing to break any laws, even knowingly, to quote, save lives.
So that's why you're going to have to keep your. I mean, this is a call to vigilance, because they don't care about the law. And so this is going to require lawsuits. This is going to require scaring school districts to the point where they proactively punish teachers who think they can go against policy that assumes the policy changes in the first place. You blew my mind when you said that you could get a legal name change and if you were not a legal adult. I'm not even sure how that's possible, but apparently that's something that the state of Wisconsin allows. When did that happen?
Yeah, it's, a lot of the stuff goes under our noses. I mean, conservatives had been asleep
yes,
for a long time, and it wasn't until COVID in 2021 rolled around that the real resurgence of parents' rights started, and parents started to actually go out and vote in their school board elections in April. And we do have an April election, and a lot of people in your listening area right now are going to have conservatives versus liberals on their school board ballots in April. And it wasn't until COVID that parents started thinking, hey, what is actually going on in my school district? Where's all my property tax going to? And a lot of these things, especially with DPI, it's a top-down approach. DPI is quietly promoting these gender transition policies and encouraging school districts to do this and telling them if they don't do this, they're going to get sued, which is the opposite. It's actually true.
That's what New Richmond said. We'll get sued if we kick the boy out of the girls' locker room. No, you won't. You'll get sued if you don't. But again, good advice when those school board candidates are knocking on your door, and they will begin knocking on your door very soon. When they knock on your door, you simply ask them, who has rights? The parents over their child's gender identity or the school? It should be a pretty clarifying question to ask. Dan Lennington, the work you guys do, what would we do without you? I appreciate the time on the show today.
Thank you, Vicki.